Hey y'all, welcome back to the Bowie Talk. I'm your host, Lindsay Bowie, and today's episode is all about ADHD, understanding it, understanding what it is, the science behind it, and how it impacts everyday life. We are also going to have a very special guest today, my mother, Miss Lisa Bowie, who's going to share what it was like learning about ADHD after I was diagnosed. So first, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What is ADHD? ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a neurodevelopment disorder that affects attention, impulse control, and executive functioning. It is not just about being hyper or distracted. It's about how the brain processes information and manages tasks. There are various different types of ADHD, one of them being inattentive type, which is the trouble to focus, forgetfulness, disorganization. There's hyperactive impulsive type, which is the fidgeting, restlessness, difficulty with impulse control, and the combined type, which is a mix of both inattentive and hyperactive traits. According to the CDC, about 60% of children with ADHD carry symptoms into adulthood. Common myths and misconceptions would be like, ADHD is just an excuse for being lazy. It is not. ADHD affects executive function, making tasks, initiation, and time management difficult. So like I said, today we do have a very special guest, my mom, Lisa Bowie, and she is here to talk about what it was like learning about ADHD after my diagnosis. Hey, Mama.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before my diagnosis, what did you know about ADHD?
Nothing. Other than it exists and it was a thing, but it wasn't a thing that our household, I don't want to say we weren't aware of it, but it wasn't a thing that we had to worry about. But after you got your diagnosis and we started understanding what the symptoms were, we could pick out quite a few people in the family who had it, but weren't diagnosed.
What was your reaction to my diagnosis?
Honestly, I felt like I beat myself up because I was wondered how it was it that I didn't see that in my child. Because I took it as, LJ is 14 years older than you. Chase is 7 years older than you. So you got two older brothers and you played with them. They played football, whatever sport they played, you were out there with them. And I just viewed it as you were busy or busying because you were playing with them, and that was just a result of having older siblings.
How did you start educating yourself on ADHD?
Well, first, of course, we got the pamphlet from the doctor. It's only so much you can put in a pamphlet. Started researching online, but at that time, in my opinion, information still wasn't readily available. And I'm not sure if it's because I don't want to say it wasn't as prevalent, but I think in the healthcare industry, we were still trying to learn like what it was, because most of the time it's like, hey, you got ADHD, this is what it is, your kid needs medicine, and you just did that, right? However, fast forward to today, when I was doing some research in preparation for you to attend college, in August, now there are classes for parents. If that existed back 10, 12 years ago, I didn't know anything about it, and I surely didn't see any of that on the internet. Now they also have, I found it's a class that students can take where when you're preparing for college, like what does that look like to help you transition and to be able to better manage ADHD and just overall mental health. So I think there are far much better resources these days than what it was, 12 years ago. So, yeah.
How has your understanding for ADHD changed the way you support me?
Oh, wow. I have to give a shout out to our therapist because she always says, I'm like, hey, I want to be able to have a better relationship with my daughter. That means a lot to me. And I'm like, sometimes I feel like it's a disconnect and I don't know why. And when I'll give her some examples and she'll say, oh, that's not how the ADHD brain works. I'm like, well, how does it work? So in the recent years, I've just been trying to understand it even more because as you've grown and changed, the way you manage your ADHD has changed as well, right? But yeah, it's about understanding how you function with ADHD. Because how you function may be different than how someone else functions. And it's just about understanding the why and the how. And I know that may sound kind of crazy and weird when someone's listening to this podcast and listening to my answer, but it really is, because you could respond in one way one day, but in the next day it might be a different response. So I've learned that stay calm. Because you remember back in the day, I would go 0 to 10, and that doesn't help any of us, right? But just staying calm and understanding what your thought process was. That, I think, has helped us tremendously. You got to have patience, but just understanding what your thought process was. So just like the other day, I think we were talking about with LJ, we were talking about directions, okay? So LJ asked, well, Lindsay, okay, you were going from Dollar General, and then you ended up at the CVS, but you didn't go down this street over here. You went all the way around. You passed by our neighborhood, and I was also trying to help him understand, well, she went that route because that's what worked best for her. Right?
He wouldn't let it go.
He didn't know how to let it go,
wouldn't
right?
let it go.
But in our conversation, we were all like, okay, just let it go. It's okay. And I had to explain to him, like, that's not how her brain is going to work, So that's just an example. But at the end of the day, not only do you have to give yourself grace, we as parents have to do the same thing. And it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay not to know everything. And that's how we all kind of learn. And that's what I think the information that you're sharing in your podcast is going to help.
What advice do you have for other parents whose children have recently been diagnosed?
Use your resources. First, be patient, because I'm telling you, if you choose to medicate, you may end up on one medicine that doesn't work for your child, and you might need to take something else. It may be different therapies that you want to get yourself introduced to see if that will help your child out, and help to strengthen some of those executive functioning skills. But definitely be patient, give yourself some grace. And there's so much information out there now. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just take it one day at a time, but just use your resources, your medical resources, use your resources at the school, just to educate yourself and equip yourself with how you as a parent can manage and help your student at home.
Well, thank you, Mama, for being here today.
Thank you.
Helping me put this whole process together and actually like believing in me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to lie, sometimes there are times you believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. Like this podcast wouldn't even be a thing if you hadn't supported me through it. So I thank you so much for that.
You are very welcome.
Okay, so now it is time for our tips and tricks segment of the show. So, Mama, we're going to start off with you because you're a very special guest. What are some tips, tricks, and strategies that you have for any parents or any supporters out there?
Okay, for parents and supporters, again, it's about being patient, giving yourself grace. Don't expect to learn everything overnight because it's so much information out there and it can be overwhelming. It can get overwhelming quickly. Being diagnosed with ADHD and the treatment plan itself, it's a process. So what may work for one person may not work for another kid. But just be patient with it and just continue to educate yourself. And if you have a peer group where you may find there are other moms or parents within your child's classroom where, like, hey, we can discuss things. We can discuss what did work for me and maybe it will work for your child. So, again, it goes back to just equipping yourself with just information and being patient.
I will also say another tip that I would give is that you have done would be help create structure, but allow there to be flexibility. Because
definitely,
while structure does help, you don't want it to make it feel like you're putting your kid in a box. Mm-hmm. Because putting them in a box is going to, from my experience, is going to make them feel trapped. It's going to make them feel kind of cornered. So building structure and having structure is good, but also allow there to be flexibility, because that's just how the brain works. So, yeah. Tips and tricks that I would have for kids, teens, and just people overall with ADHD is be kind to yourself, because ADHD is not a flaw. It is nothing to be embarrassed about. So just be kind to yourself. Okay. Thank you, Mom, for joining the conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Don't forget to follow the Bowie Talk and subscribe for more episodes, and let us know what topics you'd like to hear in the future. Until next time, stay anchored and always remember to have calm seas. Bye.